Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yardmaster, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today, we are discussing the Trident-Class of Starship, known in STO as a deep space science vessel.
Likely designed as a jack-of-all-trades science vessel in the vein of trying to make a successor to the Nebula. It failed.
Yeah.
That said, it is still an effective design and best used in the outer reaches. It is not a combat vessel, but it can most certainly defend itself, just like any other Federation starship, really.
Yeah. This thing is, well, it's an explorer. It's made to go into deep space and do science.
Quite similar to the Intrepid class, although much larger.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
far less armed.
Yeah. Alright. So, as per usual, first we need a surface date. A date when the when the USS Trident, the prototype, would have first entered service.
I am going to have to say 2404.
2404. Okay, that registry code definitely says that. So, like with the Tempest before it, this would have 60 points, though that could change depending on the scale.
And considering the size of this ship, according to the STO wiki, it's a little bit longer than the Sovereign class.
Longer than the Sovereign, huh?
Well,
Wow.
depending on configuration, 680 meters.
Huh. Right. Well, scale mostly is based on crew, but
We don't know the size of the crew of this thing.
yeah, we don't. I mean, with the Tempest, I remember it used to have 200 crew, but with this thing, I don't remember. I don't think it was as much as a cruiser, though. So, we'll say this is scale 5. The Nebula was scale 5, and it was 750. So it's a bit. So this probably, and I think that was on the higher end. I think this one had lower than that. If anyone has any idea, has any memory of how much crew this had, let us know, and I will adjust that on my sheet.
For now, we'll just ballpark at about 500.
Yeah. So, scale 5 means we add an extra system point. So, we have 61 points to work with. Again, like with the Tempest, and like ELH does for his thing, for his stuff in the interior shipyards, we will give everything a flat number just to start it with. We'll start with 10 and everything, so that's because we have 60 plus. So we'll start with a 10 and everything, and then we will add and subtract as needed. So probably do not need very many weapons on this thing.
From what I can see on the design, it has 2 forward phaser arrays, a pair of aft arrays, that's a really dumb spot to put a torpedo launcher, but there's 2 aft ones, and 2 double torpedo launchers underneath.
Okay. So, I'd say this thing is fairly moderately armed, so we'll drop weapons down to a 9. Sensors should probably go up at least to 11, and we can so we still have one more point to distribute before we do more of that. Computers maybe for for analyzing sensor input.
This is a science vessel.
Yep. So comms 10, computers 11, engines 10, sensors 11, structure 10, weapons 9. Oh, one thing we probably should have figured out first. This will also affect system points.
Mm-hmm.
That bottom section, that lower gondola.
That is a pod.
Yeah.
It can be removed.
Okay. So, Star Trek Adventures has rules for mission pods. Originally for the Nebula, but Utopia Planitia has expanded that to the Luna and the Nebula, and any other starship can use, any custom space frames can be designed to use a mission pod. Now, if we do this, the mission pod takes we would take 2 system points away from the total, because those points would go to the equipment. It would basically represent the equipment from the mission pod. I would say, given that it does have a pod that can be removed, would you say it would count as having a mission pod for those rules? Very well. This thing will have a mission pod, and therefore we must take away 2 points from the systems. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we need a total of 59 points on this thing now. So currently we're down to 60. Well, I'll drop structure and comms to 9 just for the rounding out everything. So computers and sensors up at 11. That means we've got 1 more point. Alright, so 10 in structure. Could drop weapons down to 8, put comms at 10. That's it's a possibility. I mean, it probably has a decent. We could probably use some decent comms, if nothing else.
A absolute requirement, after all. It does need to remain in contact with the closest Federation outpost. This thing isn't designed to operate in Federation space, but it's not designed to wander off too far.
Yeah. So, comms 10, computers 11, engines 9, sensors 11, structure 10, weapons 8. That goes to 59 points, meaning we're good for the pod.
Purred.
Okay. I think that's good. Next up, we need our department points. Science needs to have at least 1 point.
Science is going to get the grand majority because this is a science ship.
Alright, so science +2. I still 2 points into science. We have command, con, security, engineering, and medicine for our remaining options.
I would say...
Oh, wait, no. Science +2. The mission pod also includes 1 department point. So, +2 science. That's pretty much it. Unless we want to take a point away from that to put it in one of the others.
It'll have to do. This is not a ship meant for combat.
Yep. So science +2. Alright. Next up, talents. Now let me check the book on what it says about talents. Let's see, space frame talents. When creating a space frame, a number of talents are chosen for the vessel is less than the total number that can be taken, as there always must be at least 1 left free for the mission profile of the vessel to contribute. Okay, let's see. We also need to take pods into account. Let's see, let me see how many talents. Okay. Talents, mission pods, 10 mission pods look like they give 2 talents each. So I would say this thing should only get 1 talent to start. The mission pod can add another one. I can add another 2. And that will give a profile, and that will still leave room for a profile talent and a free talent.
Well, seeing as I have no bloody clue how this game works, and my job is mostly just to give you the general specifications of the vessel.
Yep, I'm looking through the talents now. Advanced sensor suites could work. The vessel's sensors are among the most sophisticated and advanced available in the fleet. Unless the ship's sensors have suffered 1 or more breaches, whenever a character performs a task assisted by the ship's sensors, they may reduce the difficulty of the task by 1 to a minimum of 0. Let me check to see if any pods have that. Advanced sensors, astrometrics. The astrometrics and navigation pod has that. Let's see. High resolution sensors is the other option. What do they have? Does any pod have that? Just the basic sensors pod, and that also has advanced sensor suites. Okay. Let's see. Rugged design. The ship is designed with the frontier in mind, with a durable construction and easy access to critical systems that allow repairs to be made easily. Reduce the difficulty of all tasks to repair the ship by 1 to a minimum of 1.
Isn't that the standard for all Federation starships? These things are built to last.
Well, some ships are built more rugged than others. This is like... rugged design is like if you're really focusing on that kind of thing. And I think that works.
Considering the design of the ship.
Yep.
It might look elegant, but you can make it... But something fancy can still be built like a goddamn tank.
Right. And now we have weapons. Let's do nothing... Let's not do anything fancy, just phaser arrays and photon torpedoes, and a strength 4 tractor beam. I didn't mention this in the last video, but all ships in STA, most ships in STA in the 23rd and 24th and 25th centuries have a tractor beam, and it's usually 1 scale. Its strength value is usually 1 less than the vessel's scale. So phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, and strength 4 tractor beam. name. Now, traits. Okay, now we get to the final steps. Traits and special rules. Traits, obviously it gets Federation starship. And maybe, not entirely sure, but maybe built for the, maybe, not entirely, we'll go with just that for now. If anyone else has an idea that might work, feel free to leave that in the comments. Now, special rules. A starship has, the mission pod basically counts as a special rule. There's a special rule for whatever mission pod is chosen when a ship has mission pods. So I will put I will put special rule mission pod. And I believe that is it. That is what we have for the Trident-Class.
Rather disappointing, considering there's no lore for me to dump on.
Yeah. Though we could say that, though for coming up with our own lore, we could say this thing was made to explore in territories. It was made with the goal of exploration, in exploring in territories where the Federation doesn't have any borders with other hostile with other powers.
So, in a sense, a super birth.
Yeah.
Can actually do the goddamn job, but actually has enough teeth to actually ward off somebody.
Yeah.
What?
And yeah, like with the Tempest, this thing needs a tier 6 version. Stat. Cryptic, please, get on that. Well, I believe that's it.